Welcome back to ABL. You know, oftentimes when there's a crisis, those that can least afford it are the ones that pay the highest price. You know that. And it's sad. That's part of what I was talking to the doctor about right there, Jeff Myers. But in America, as this border crisis continues, you have to ask yourself who's being impacted the most. We've heard that veterans' money is being diverted to the illegals. What about seniors in America? Robert Charles from AMAC is with me here today. Robert, good to have you on the program.
Pleasure to be with you.
So let's talk about that. Like I say, the people that can least afford it often end up being the ones that pay the highest price. And that could be true of seniors who can't really defend themselves against the monolith of government. If they divert money over here and provide, free care and free housing and take over schools, and they lose out and they don't have much voice oftentimes. What do you say to that?
Well, that's true. That's true. And of course, seniors are a huge part of the electorate. They make an enormous difference in our national races. But maybe I can take a small circle and make it bigger. AMAC, and you can go to amac.us/RAV to get on there and to join. But AMAC is the conservative group in America that is out there at the local level pushing for seniors, for solvency, for Social Security, making sure that a lot of these programs that are supposed to be supporting seniors are there, getting medical care costs down, getting prescription drug costs down, but they're also working in a wider way to preserve all of the rights that we consider precious in this country. Not just solvency, not just protecting seniors, but protecting all future seniors, if you will. The First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the Fourth, the Fifth, the Sixth Amendment, the 10th Amendment, and of course we see all of these amendments, never mind a lot of just very personal rights and prerogatives of people under fire day to day. And seniors, of course, pay an enormous price in inflation. They worked their entire lives. They put that money away. That money was put away with a particular value for every dollar bill. And now, even under Biden, the value of each dollar bill that was put into savings is down about 15 cents. So, there's a hole in the bucket, and we need to fix that hole, and that's solvency and inflation too.
Yeah, Robert, we've been talking about this for the last couple of days here. It's these illegals flooding. We were talking about specifically in Miami, where the Cuban refugees came 50 years ago, and they worked their tails off to become part of the American fabric, and now they get half the money each month that some kid that walked across the border illegally at the age of 20 is getting today. That's just, you can't justify that, can you?
Well, you can't, and I think you're really pointing to two very concrete things. One is that there's a thing called the American Dream, and a lot of seniors believed in it at the time and still believe in it. And that has to do with hard work, that you get in what you get out what you put in. And frankly, they've worked very hard all their lives, and they expect others to work hard. The other piece you're pointing to, which I think is, again, emblematic of a much broader problem, and that is that the rule of law is breaking down. The rule of law is breaking down at the border, and it's breaking down with respect to public safety in places where a lot of seniors live, where we all live. But it also is breaking down relative to things like respect for the courts. So, at the end of the day, we in my generation, my parents, my grandparents, believed that the American dream was real, that rule of law really mattered. That's why many of them veterans, and AMAC, literally a quarter of all AMAC members are veterans, and 75% of AMAC members have a veteran in the family. Again, I encourage people to join because you get a lot of return.
And Robert, I want to dovetail on what you said about the American dream, because I know you have some expertise in this area. You can answer this question. If somebody works their entire life and they create something, they build something big, and then the government sweeps in and steals it from them, because that's what it looks like to me and millions of other Americans when we see this $360 million fine levied for fraud against Donald Trump when nobody was defrauded. When the bank said, we want to do business with him again. We didn't lose money. We made money. And we see the abject theft of prosperity from the former president and the leading candidate to be president of the United States. It is absolutely outrageous. What can you weigh in on that?
Well, I can. We all have opinions, and I'd like to offer you more than an opinion, a kind of a perspective based on what I see historically. I mean, I worked in the Reagan White House, the Bush 41 White House. I clerked on the Ninth Circuit, U.S. Court of Appeals, litigated for years, did oversight for Congress. And I will tell you that what I see is a real bastardization, if you will, of the American legal process. What that $355 million highly subjective award did is they could not prove, they wanted to penalize this man. And in many ways, it's a violation of the Eighth Amendment, which says you can't have excessive fines or cruel and unusual punishment. And that applies to states down through the 14th Amendment. And I think it'll be flipped. I think this decision can't possibly stand. But even so, what it does is it tells us, just like the two Jack Smith suits against Trump, and just like the one in Georgia, that we will somehow allow our supposed fair administration of justice, our legal system, the Article 3 courts, and the state versions of those down at the state level. We will allow them to be perverted, to be taken over by political actors who in turn punish their enemies. A $355 million subjective.
This is not the way.
What's that?
Not the way America's supposed to work. That's for sure, Robert.
Not at all.
Here's my question for you. Last question. Here's my last question for you. Who gets paid? If nobody was defrauded, if the banks say we would do business with Trump again, if they say we didn't lose any money, we like him, everything checks out, where does this $360 million, who gets paid with that?
Yeah, so what they've said, very consistent with the leftist wing of the Democrat Party, is that they would like to put that in the New York state coffers. They just would like to rob him and put that money in support of the state, which, of course, has not been particularly well managed itself. You know, at the end of the day, what you have to do is ask yourself, and this is what AMAC does every day, how do you get back to fairness? How do you get back to liberty and equality and a sense that this is the country that we grew up in and we want to preserve? If you believe in Ronald Reagan's America, and I do, I worked for him, I think you have to go back to places like AMAC and say, look, I will join because I want not only the economic benefits that come with $16 a year, but much more than that. I will preserve my country while I can.
Robert, I had the pleasure of voting for Ronald Reagan. He was the first president I was able to vote for, and I'll say that as a proud American. Tell folks how they can find out more about AMAC and get on board with you and people that believe in this country.
So great entree. Thank you. So if you go to amac.us/RAV, what you will get is the opportunity at a discount to come aboard and not only get the kinds of benefits that you get economically every day of the week, but you get literally an army of 2 million. You join an army or a family of 2 million people, more than 2 million, who are out there by the tens of thousands in state legislatures, working every day, getting trainings at things like boot camps for boomers, all of the opportunity to get involved and make a difference. You know, there's so many people out there today who say, gosh, I don't like the way the world is going and I don't know what I can do about it. Well, if you join AMAC, amac.us/RAV, what you will get is the opportunity every single day to get looking around the corner news. We have news up on amac.us that you will not get anywhere else. Stories broken, working with the lead investigators in a lot of places, and you will get the opportunity to contribute in your own legislative way to election integrity, to ending ranked choice voting or preventing it from happening, trying to get back to the basics when it comes to fundamental rights. Look, I have never felt on any day that I've been a member of AMAC that I have done anything but contribute to the good of America, and I think we can all go to sleep that way.
Robert Charles, greatly appreciate your insights here today. Folks, here's how you find out about AMAC. I encourage you to do it. I'm a member. Robert's obviously a member. Robert, thank you. All right, greatly appreciated. Some final thoughts here from Mission, Texas on this second day of special coverage on America's Voice Live after the break.